Hi, my name is Siobhán McDonald. My work deals with contemporary topics to do with air, breath and atmospheric phenomena. My studio is in Trinity College, Dublin, in the School of Natural Sciences. I travel a lot to very fragile places in the world, like Vatnajökull Glacier in Iceland and the Arctic Circle, to explore ecology. I'm interested in looking at the Earth as a connected system or a body that acts culturally and historically to kind of show us how we all inhabit the world. In my work with glaciers, ice and other natural phenomena, I like to explore different materials and processes to give form to sort of like the intangible and richly varied processes that happen inside the Earth. One of the greatest joys of walking in a forest is that when you give up any attempt to analyse, you can almost hear it breathing. I've always worked with natural materials and the elements. Plants and trees are like the lungs of the earth. This work uses a sculptural element of a prism and footage collected from Europe's most eruptive volcanoes. It points to the cycle of the earth breathing within our ecosystems. The idea of breathing and that we've lost connection to our breath interests me. The film Breathe uses the structure of the human lungs as a way to give a voice to man's relationship with air and the environment. The idea of a plant containing a breath or referencing breath inspires my work. I use plant sensory technology to weave together ideas and studies in human breath. From each of the volcanoes, I grind down the ash into a dust, and then I apply it in thin transparent layers. I also combine layers of pigment that are made from particles of air collected throughout Europe. The work is based on a sound score illustrating the vibrational frequency of breath and attempts to capture the air itself and the act of breathing. My time in the Arctic was about capturing the changing form of the glaciers. I put microphones into the glaciers to record and engineered the sound so we can hear the sound of the dying glaciers. The time just before humans started to etch themselves into the geological record in the 1820s is fascinating. When I was in the Arctic, the second ship from the Franklin expedition was discovered, which was in 1845. It was astounding. We're working on a project in tandem in Ireland with the National Botanic Gardens. We discovered a collection of plants taken back from the 1825 expedition that had never been on public view before. And we extracted 75 seeds from these pressings. These seeds that belong to another time are an important finding as they represent that moment just before the Industrial Revolution that we can't go back to. I worked with the Millennium Seed Bank at Kew Gardens, and we explored the potential life force of these seeds from the Arctic that had been around for 190 years. I'm now working on a more in-depth project to explore how the seed vault in the Arctic acts as a metaphor for human life. The Solar Orbiter mission, which launched into space earlier this year, is sending back images of unexplored parts of our sun. With NASA and ESA, I'm adapting these images from a live stream to explore how the sun affects the melting of the glaciers and the whole carbon cycle. This installation uses carbon and charred bone, the most heat-resistant material in the world, which covers the front of the Solar Orbiter spacecraft. I worked with Umbio, who mixed these two natural materials, and I made 170 sculptures on sea sponge using the material as a painted form. I heat them up in very high temperatures to crack and reference the distorted surfaces of the glaciers as they break apart and calve. For me, glaciers are archives of history. Trees give us oxygen to breathe. My use of these materials is partly about acceding to man's place in the natural world and acknowledging human transience and the mark we leave behind.